Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. So, my sister barely watches her kids, but expects me and my mom to do it for her 24/7 while she's out and about. She treats me like her free babysitter, and it's my fault since I honestly let her for a while, but I'm 17 now and over it. I have more independence, and I'm tired of watching her kids while she goes out. She even has me blocked on her social medias because she doesn't want me to see that she's out having fun. My mom works a lot, especially overnights, so it's always me or my sister at home. Since I have the basement room, it's really easy for me to sneak out since my window is right above my bed and my room has a lock. And I usually don't leave for long, usually just a few hours to drive around and smoke with my friends on the weekdays, and sometimes on the weekends we party. My sister last week came home from her own night out to her kids. They're 7 and 4, asleep in their rooms, and then wanted to get something from my room, but it was locked. She was knocking and pounding on it, and she realized I was gone and got upset. She called me and I answered, and she was going off, asking me where I was. I told her it's not her business, and she said I left her kids alone at home. I asked her how that's my business, and she shouldn't leave the house without making sure someone's there, and if they're not, then she needs to stay home. She had the nerve to cuss me out and saying that I didn't leave through the front door, so how was she supposed to know I left? And I just hung up, not thinking anything of it. She ended up snitching on me for sneaking out to my mom, who was working her overnight, who texted me. She was actually pretty cool and didn't care since I have good grades and don't ever do anything bad, and said to be safe and come home soon. I was so upset my sister had the nerve to snitch on me for leaving the house, to live my life, expecting me to watch her kids as she goes out, so I decided to snitch back. I know my sister wants to have another last final baby this year in 2022. I've overheard her talking about it a lot to her friends. And she wants to have one with her children's father since she doesn't want more than one dad or a big age gap. I got home that night, and the next morning my mom and sister were arguing about what I told her. My mom said it's a slap in the face since she's working to help my sister and she's planning another pregnancy as a single mom under my mom's roof. To both our surprise, my mom said that she has until the end of this summer to move out since she can't do this anymore. My sister started crying, saying she doesn't have any money saved and can't afford rent and childcare, and my mom said to get a job. My sister started screaming at me, saying that I did this, all over me being the wrong one for sneaking out, and I'm the worst person ever and an a-hole. Even her kids are mad at me. Was I really wrong for everything? I feel like she deserved it for snitching on me. Well, she's a terrible parent and trying to have another child with a seemingly deadbeat dad who needs to learn about birth control. 100% not OP's responsibility. I cannot believe she left her kids alone just assuming OP was there to pick up her slack. Next time OP needs to report her to CPS. Snitching is not the issue. They are her kids, her responsibility, and OP's mom giving her a pass all these years to not act like a parent is ridiculous and has resulted in OP's entitled sister treating OP like a free nanny. She's the one who left her kids unattended without checking they had supervision. And really, good for OP for telling mom she was planning another pregnancy. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Not the a-hole. Frankly, your mother reacted like any sane person would. Nobody in their right mind is planning a third kid as a single parent while having to rely on someone else's support. Your sister needed a tough reality check and got it. Your sister's life plan was to offload her 3 kids on your mother and was already parentifying you. Not the a-hole. Wow, this is a lot to unpack. The fact that she left without ensuring someone was there to watch her kids is frightening. Honestly, I think you were restrained. I'd be considering contacting Child Protective Services. Not the a-hole. Your sister can't or is not interested in taking care of the children she has now, and she wants another? Why? Also, kind of sounds like your poor mom was looking at her future and not liking what she saw. She needs to live on her own. I, 35 male, am now an engineer who's financially stable and may even be considered rich. But getting here was anything but easy. Growing up in a poor country, my father passed away while my mother was pregnant with me, leaving her to work tirelessly as a housekeeper. The women in the neighborhood, who were once her friends, called her the maid and looked down on her and us, my siblings and me. I have 2 older brothers, Sam and Jim. Both had to drop out of school at 16. not by choice, but by necessity. With our father gone, someone needed to bring in money to keep us afloat. They took on whatever work they could find, construction, odd jobs, anything that paid. Watching them shoulder adult responsibilities when they were still boys filled me with both gratitude and guilt. Despite our struggles, my family made enormous sacrifices to send me abroad for my studies. I am forever thankful for their sacrifices and have been sending my family money monthly ever since I got my job. I've paid for both my brother's weddings and my mother's hospital bills, and much more for my nieces and nephews. A year ago, Sam was imprisoned for possession with the intent to distribute after being caught with D in his car. I hired the best lawyer I could find, and although Sam's sentence was reduced, he couldn't avoid jail time. Since then, I've been paying all my brother's bills. The deal was I'd cover essentials, but not luxuries or vacations. A month ago, my niece called me in tears, saying she was being picked on because of her crooked teeth and wanted braces. I immediately called my sister-in-law and told her to book an orthodontist appointment. She sent me the quote, and I wired the money right away. However, last week, I saw a picture on Instagram of my sister-in-law and her kids at a resort, and my niece's teeth were still crooked. When I asked my niece about the braces, she said they couldn't afford them because I refused to pay for luxuries. I was enraged. I called my sister-in-law and tore her a new butthole, telling her that the money was meant for braces, not a vacation. She cried and begged me not to cut off the financial support, but I told her she brought this on herself. I then called my mother and told her I'd be sending money for the kids from now on, and that my sister-in-law could get a job to support herself. Jem and my mother think I'm being an a-hole and argue that I owe it to Sam, who sacrificed so much for me, to keep supporting his wife. They also called me a control freak for dictating how they use the money, saying if I'm going to be charitable, it shouldn't come with strings attached. So am I the a-hole? Sister-in-law deceived OP about what she was going to use the money for. OP has already been generous providing for them. It's one thing to help out family when they made sacrifices for you. It's another when they start lying to you to squeeze more money out of you. Also, OP's niece would greatly benefit from those braces over her whole life, and sister-in-law selfishly spent the money on a short-term fling. It's fine to put strings on charity if the people who are using it are enriching themselves at the expense of the health or safety of others. Not the a-hole. Why are they calling you the a-hole? Your sister-in-law should absolutely get a job. Also, I understand wanting to help the family, but you shouldn't pay for everything. Your brother sacrificed a lot for you, yes, but that doesn't mean you have to repay that debt for the rest of your life. Also, get in direct contact with your niece and nephews. Whenever you wire the money for them, tell them. If the adults around them do something else with the money like sister-in-law did, they will know. Not the a-hole. Money for braces is not money for a vacation. If you owe anything to Sam for sacrificing for you, it's helping his innocent children, which are what you're still doing. It's not enabling your sister-in-law to prioritize a vacation over her daughter's dental health and well-being. Not the a-hole. It's never a happy thing when people obtain things from you by tricks. With her husband in jail, she should have scales of preference. Instead of sending her daughter to lie to you and get money for a vacation, they should have actually used the money to fix the girl's teeth. I recently got engaged to my fiancée, Abby. She is an amazing girl, and I couldn't be happier. Abby and I have a pretty modern relationship and are partners in everything. During the 6 years we've been together, we've talked a lot about marriage and our expectations. Abby's mom, Rose, made it clear that she thought we were taking all the romance out of it. Abby and I ended up picking the ring together and talking about how the proposal should go. Rose kept making comments that we were ruining it. She was so surprised when her husband proposed, and etc. For some background, I don't like her parents that much. They have an extremely codependent relationship with some old-school gender roles, and Rose expects to be treated like an absolute princess. Her dad, James, doesn't seem crazy about me. I think he wants me to take care of his daughter more, but Abby doesn't need that. Rose seems to put off that we aren't romantic enough, and honestly, she annoys the crap out of me. We spent the holidays at their lake house. Abby and I even went on a hike, and she proposed back to me. It was a great day. When I went to bed one night, Abby was in the living room with her siblings. I heard James and Rose talking crap. She said she would have cried if he made her wait 6 years to get married. He made a joke that she owes him a lot of money because Abby told him women pay for half of the rings now. Then he said that he would have died if she had to tell his friend she proposed back, and jokingly made her promise to only get on her knees for one reason. Honestly, I don't deal with a-holes. I went to the bedroom, opened the door, and just stared at them. James cussed at me and told me to get out of his room and don't ever do that in his house again. I said I heard their conversation and thought I was going to barf. No one wants to hear about her on her knees. Honestly, this might have been a jerk move. She has an extremely time-consuming routine to look younger and looks like Abby's sister but is insecure about her age. James told me to get the hell out and called me disrespectful. The next morning he confronted me, didn't apologize, and said if I ever burst in like that again when his wife was half naked, we were going to have a real problem. To be clear, they were both under the covers. I told Abby and she thinks it is hilarious, but it made Christmas awkward, and Rose has been telling everyone I have no respect and wasn't raised right. Well, I think they have the right to their opinion about their daughter and her fiancé. Also, they have the right to discuss it in private between each other. OP overheard a private conversation, got offended, and then decided to burst into their room without knocking to tell them his unsolicited opinions about what he overheard. I'm surprised that OP was only kicked out of their room and not their home and their lives. You're the a-hole, but let me tell you why. You opened a closed door. That door was closed on purpose. That was a set boundary, and you violated it. Regardless of how loud and ignorant they were being, you overstepped. Now, what you should have done was talk to your fiancé and let her make all the jokes at her parents' expense. But since you had to be a privacy-violating dingbat, you missed your opportunity to take the high ground. Yeah, you're the a-hole. Listening to private conversations in other rooms and then bursting in? What the hell? No wonder they don't like you. They were having a private conversation in their private space, sharing their private thoughts, to which they are fully entitled. They're also entitled to their preferences and opinions, even if they differ from yours. You don't deal with a-holes. They weren't being a-holes. They were disagreeing with you. And honestly, for someone who's so self-congratulatory about how equitable your relationship is, you sure to behave in an S way. Nobody wants to think about Rose on her knees, making a cheap dig about her age. You have a lot of learning to do. You're the a-hole. I, 35 male, am a single father of 3 boys, 10 male, 7 male, and 3 male. Their mother died last year due to ovarian cancer. It's been a rough year to say the least. My sister got divorced 6 months ago and temporarily moved in with me and the boys. She has a son, my nephew, 9 male, who stays with us most of the time. My nephew and my 10-year-old are not the best of friends, but so far they got along fine, apart from some teasing from both sides. A few weeks ago, my 10-year-old started telling me that his cousin was picking on him and being mean to him. He called him names, pushed him around, took his video games, etc. I talked to my sister many times and told her to talk to her son. We talked to the boys together, and things settled down. Yesterday was my 3-year-old's birthday, so the whole family was here, and my late wife's family as well. It was extremely emotional for everyone because it was the first birthday since my wife's been gone. The boys, 10-year-old and 9-year-old, started fighting again, and I asked them both to calm down and behave. My son started crying and told me his cousin teased him about him not having a mom. I choked up and asked my nephew if that was true, and he said yes, and that he's sorry. I figured I'd have a proper talk with him and my sister after the party, so I just told him that what he said was really awful and he could not say it again. I comforted my son and we went back to the party. Before we cut the cake, my sister came yelling at me, saying I had no business disciplining her child. I told her to drop it and we'll talk later. Instead, she said, "Besides, he's right. Kids need a mom." I had tears in my eyes by that time, and she said, "See, it's even turning you into a wussy." My in-laws were crying. I was tearing up. The kids were upset. Just awful. I told her to stop it and just leave me and the kids in the family to cut the cake, and we will talk in the evening. She said, "Listen, we both lost our spouses, but at least I'm still a normal person." She stormed off. After the party, I told her she has 2 days to pack her stuff and leave. She's begging me not to throw her out because she and her kids will be homeless. Am I the a-hole for throwing her out? Update. My mom agreed to take my sister in temporarily, and my nephew is still going to his dad's because now his dad is saying that there's no way he's letting my sister ruin their kid. I want to thank you all for your kind words and all the love and support. Also, to everyone who also shared about losing a loved one, I'm so sorry for your loss. My nephew is supposed to leave tomorrow morning. My mom is picking my sister up right around that time, and my in-laws are bringing my boys back in the evening. We'll have a little post-birthday thing for my little one when they come. Just me, the boys, and my in-laws. Just some ice cream. He said he prefers it over cake. And a few cartoons. One day at a time. She's rude, belligerent, and so is her kid. Getting divorced is not the same. No matter what she thinks, and grieving is normal. She's the a-hole. If she hasn't been paying rent, then she's a guest, and OP doesn't have to follow tenant protocol. She has a heart of stone. No wonder her kid turned this way. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Not the a-hole. Your wife died. That's significantly different from being divorced. Good job protecting your children from her poisonous attitude. And crying due to grief is hardly being a wussy, so good on you for showing your boys that. Not the a-hole. What the hell is she talking about? Does she have no sympathy? We both lost our spouses. Ma'am, you chose to lose your spouse, and now it sounds like she's choosing to lose her relationship with you too. She has no right to treat you and your children that way. Anyway, I'm so sorry for your loss, and a belated happy birthday to your son. Sending lots of love. Not the a-hole. You didn't both lose your spouses. Her still exists, walking around alive. Absolutely not at all the same thing. Her wussy comment and whatnot. Nope. She should have been way less crappy if she was concerned about being homeless with her child. Instead, she was rude and inconsiderate and judgmental and heartless. You and your kids do not need this extra stress and heartbreak right now. Kick her out and focus on healing and moving forward with your family.